Brothers and sisters, today is what we call Gaudete Sunday. And what you need to know about that title is that the Latin word gaudete is the plural imperative of the Latin word gaudio. It's important to know that the verb gaudere means to rejoice. It's more important that the suffix ite is the plural. Everyone rejoice. But it's most important to know that gaudete is imperative. Everyone must rejoice. So today, we must talk about how joy is the sine qua non of religion. In other words, joy is that without which there can be no faith. Today we must leave knowing that if our faith is joyless, then it is something, but it's not true faith. Today we light the pink candle, and I wear pink vestments because in the church, pink is the color of joy and happiness and playfulness and laughter and delight. Now, there are 4 people who are eminently qualified to talk to you today about the real meaning of Gaudete Sunday. The prophet Isaiah, the author of today's first reading, the apostle Paul in his letter to the Thessalonians, and John the Baptist featured in today's gospel. Let me explain. Isaiah is exceedingly qualified to speak to us about the joyfulness of our faith in God because Isaiah was anointed. He was particularly chosen to bring glad tidings to the poor, healing to the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives, and announce a year of favor from the Lord, even though his people were destitute and in exile, away from their own home. Paul is well prepared to speak to us about the joyfulness of our faith because he was sent to teach the Thessalonians to rejoice always, even though the Christian community of Thessalonia was riddled with dissent. And John the Baptizer is the most competent to speak about the joy of believing because he was the voice crying out in the desert, "Make straight the way of the Lord who is coming to heal the sick, to welcome the stranger, to forgive the sinner, and to raise what is dead in each one of us to a new life." And all this brings us to the 4th most qualified person in history to speak to us about the joy of believing, and that would be me. Now, this is not an honor that I bestowed upon myself. No, I received this honor many years ago from a 10-year-old named Noah. Noah was in grade 5 at St. Paul's School in Kenmore, and he got a homework assignment once that he was to write a paragraph and answer this question. Here's the question that he needed to write about. Who do you think should be a saint? This is what he wrote. The person I think should be a saint is Father Bob. He is really nice and lots of fun. When he does his sermons, they are easy to understand. He has not worked any miracles, but he is really nice. If he was a saint, he would be the saint of humor. Father Bob is one of the funniest people I know. He helps people by making them laugh. And he spelled laugh L-A-F-F, which is, by the way, just the way I would spell it. And for that assignment, Noah got A+. Now, who here is old enough to remember Groucho Marx? If you're not old enough, let me tell you who he is. Groucho Marx was the first late-night talk show host. You might wonder how come he was the first. Well, because before Groucho Marx, there was no TV, so there was nobody to do the job. But Groucho Marx was the first, and some say the greatest, and Groucho begot Johnny Carson, who begot Merv Griffin, who begot Jay Leno, who begot Arsenio Hall, who begot Conan O'Brien, who begot James Corden, who begot Bill Maher, who begot Jimmy Fallon, who begot Jimmy Kimmel. Now we all know a late-night television host. What was most remarkable about Groucho Marx, the first of all these funny men, was that he made people laugh. There's a story about Groucho Marx and a Catholic priest that goes something like this. Groucho Marx was walking down the streets of New York City, and a priest saw him, and this priest happened to be a very big fan of Groucho Marx. So he kind of interrupted Groucho Marx, and he said, "Mr. Marx, I just love your work. I never miss your show. And I've always wanted to ask you, what made you become a comedian?" And without pausing a moment, Groucho Marx turned to the priest and said, "I'm only trying to put back into life some of the joy you people have taken away." Brothers and sisters, allow no one to take the joy of believing away from you. When some holier-than-thou person tells you who is saved and who is not, and you are among the nots, when some self-righteous person, televangelist, wants you to condemn the same people he condemns, when some theologian in an ivory tower passes judgment on your life because he doesn't have a life of his own, remember that they are not the experts in the joy of faith. Isaiah the prophet is the expert. Paul the apostle is the expert. John the baptizer is the expert. And I'm the expert. We know better. Never forget that faith without joy is something less than faith. And remember that today is Gaudete Sunday. You may like to translate it, light the pink candle Sunday, or there's a place for everybody at the table Sunday, or God made me and God doesn't make junk Sunday, or Father Bob looks pretty darn good in pink Sunday, or everybody is welcomed here at St. Joseph's Sunday. Or you may want to stick with the traditional, everyone must rejoice Sunday. Once upon a time, there was a little fat, jolly man who dressed in red and captured the essence of Gaudete Sunday. No, it was not Santa Claus, it was Pope John the 23rd. And this is what he said: "The pure, refined joy which must always fill my heart finds its most sincere expression in the humblest of actions. I must take care with them," he wrote. "It is not enough to bear vexation with patience of a sort. I must always feel with myself an indescribable gentleness and sweetness that will bring a smile to my lips, an even brighter smile when I am trying hard not to lose my temper and feel rather grim. In short," said the Pope, "I must show a cheerful, smiling patience, not too solemn, for there is no merit in that. Dr. John McBride, a psychotherapist, which, by the way, is roughly translated healer of the heart, was also a joyful Christian. And so we'll end with his words of joyful wisdom. This is what he said. Laughter is the hand of God on the shoulder of a troubled world. Let us profess now our faith in the God whose gift is always joy.